Jason Baffrey, we are live, sir.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Talk TV, where we believe that coaching and coaches are an essential part of human development. You'll learn how having a guide in your own personal development can change your life, improve your relationships, and enhance your work experience. I'm Jason Baffrey. This is Rhonda Boyle. You're watching Coach Talk TV, where we have coaching conversations that matter.
We do. And have we had some amazing conversations last week and this week? Jason Baffrey, I'm telling you, right here on Coach Talk TV and our Discover Coaching series. You can find all the replays over at www.coachtalktv.com.
No.
Isn't that it? No, that's not it.
It's just coachtalk.tv.
Shucks. Okay, lost my mind a minute there. CoachTalk.tv is the
Or you can just go to our Facebook page, Coach Talk TV. We also have a YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com/c/Coach Talk TV. There you go. Or just go to CoachTalk.tv. It'll take you straight in to our Facebook channel. And if you're looking for our audio podcast only, you're going to go out for a run or you're taking a long drive, you'd like us to accompany you, all you have to do is go to anchor.fm and look for Coach Talk TV, or you can go to your iTunes podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify or Overcast or many of the other favorite podcasting outlets that are available these days.
Gosh, we are everywhere, Jason. We sound so important.
We're trying to be.
Actually, we are working on promoting coaches and coaching because we believe that coaching is so important.
That's
and
right.
Especially now, gosh,
right
now.
Everybody should have a coach. Everybody should be looking at things. And I think more people are. And then, and we talked to Dave Nagata earlier this week about students moving into the school year and what that's going to look like and all of the transitional changes that come every other time, but especially this year. And school's tough, man. It's that's a hard transition to make. And we have a guest today that we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Kristen Clark, she's amazing, and she works with parents and teens, helping getting them ready for college. And so she's going to have some amazing information for us in a little bit. And I wanted to just mention, last week we were talking with coaches who work with teams and inside of organizations. We talked about people working with, independent professionals, helping them level up. And so the variety of coaching, like this week, we had day before yesterday, was it, with Becky Hammond talking about mom coaching.
That's right.
Yeah. And so coaching, it's so big. The industry is big, and it also incorporates training oftentimes. So, right now, really, whatever your need is, coaching is not just reserved for sports.
Right. Or the corporate world. I think more people have become accustomed to coaches being related to the corporate world, but we're seeing a lot more family and parent coaching. And like you said, Becky Hammond with the moms. And, I am myself a certified incredible parents coach. And so it's important to be able to, there's a lot more families and parents that are realizing that, it'd be good if we had some different tools to work with from what we've learned growing up from our own parents. And maybe we need to look at different options. And there are some out there, and it's great to get together with a coach and be able to kind of walk you through that.
Yes. And, I think the more we take advantage of coaching, the more we realize how many different ways we can use a coach. At least I know that's been true for me for the last 14, 15 years, having my own coach almost at every moment, or a mentor. Sometimes mentorship is where you are. It just happens to be where you are. And that's fine too. Sometimes having an independent, having someone else's eyeballs on the situation can really help open up new possibilities. And that's what coaches are really good at.
Yeah, it's nice to bring somebody in that can look at it from an objective point of view and give you some options that maybe you haven't thought about before. And you've talked, I think it was last week, about having those epiphany moments that sometimes a coach can bring along to you by suggesting something that maybe you thought you should have thought of, but you didn't think of. And it's the epiphany of, oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. It's just bringing another view, another perspective. It's like another facet to take a look at in the situation. And, the good news is that coaches, generally speaking, just help you figure it out.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with us showing that you what we see and then asking you questions around what you want and where you want to go with that or how you want to use that information. So anyway, it's like having a think it through partner, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Somebody to challenge you.
Yes.
So I tell you, a great place to get coaching, especially for parents and their teens, is for the college area. And that's getting ready for college. And that's who we want to introduce you to today is Kristen Clark. She is a seasoned marketing expert, a Gallup certified strengths coach, mentor, public speaker, entrepreneur, and commissioned artist.
And
she has had
Bomb Diggity.
She is full on. And she ran corporate marketing departments for 20 years. And over the last 9 years has been the most requested coach through Everwise, a professional mentoring company. Through these experiences, Kristen found that her love for mentoring young people, that's how she figured all that out, was that experience. And so she founded Kristen Clark Coaching and has been working with students to help guide them in determining the right college major and ultimately a career they love. Kristen Clark, come on up and say hey to the people.
Hi, guys. It's so good to see both of your faces again.
Good to see you. And what a hot topic. A lot going on in the college arena. And, a lot of this puts stress on parents, stress on kids, stress on families. So you're in the right spot to be helping people.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it's anytime I talk to a parent, their answer is always, Kristen, I just want my kid to be happy. Right. And that is the best part of this job, is that we can help them do that. And hey, let's face it, parenting is tough. and anyhow, any way that we can help a parent is really awesome.
Yeah, I know. It really is. So, and it's really helping the whole family when you do that. Right? So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because like you said, during this time when we're thinking about college, it can be one of the most stressful times in a family, and especially for that first kiddo. When they have not done it before, it gets really tough.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Kristen, what are some of the biggest challenges that parents are facing, excuse me, right now, and especially as they're getting ready to send their kids off to college for a new semester?
Well, as we all know, COVID has brought a lot of challenges. And especially just because so many of us are kind of going at this blind. So I got to tell you, it'd be tough right now being a parent of a student that's going to be a freshman in college. That part I think would be really hard, because you've got some decisions to make that no other parents have had to make. And that is, more at the forefront, should we take a gap year? College is expensive. And if they're going to be taking it online anyway, is that something that we want to consider? And then so many other parts of this. So I'd say that's probably the toughest challenge that we have right now.
Wow. Yeah. Because a lot of colleges aren't even going back, or I guess there's just so many decisions and so much up in the air, and every state and every college is different right now. So
it is different. And I will tell you, we got to remember that college is a business. So right now I'm seeing the bulk of them talking about the kids coming back to college and doing kind of a hybrid. But, I would say that just based on how things are going, I would put money down that we're probably going to see these kids heading back home and doing a lot online. That's my guess. I haven't seen that, and nobody can see the future on that. But, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah. Kristen, let's go back to the olden days of 2019, 2018, before the current state of affairs. From the average, I mean, it's I know from my own experience, it's challenging to go right out of high school into college. And I actually, did a semester and then took some time off, because after that first semester, I was like, what am I doing? I don't even have a plan. And, so how many students are feeling that? I'm hoping that wasn't just me. And so how do you kind of work them through all of that?
I think a lot of kids go through that. I don't think you're the only one, for sure. So it's interesting, the clients that I work with, from the time that they had this new baby in their hand, they have really had this idea that they're going to go to grade school, they're going to go to high school, and then they're going to go off to college. And as students, they think the same thing, because that's the conversations that have been going on in the house, right? That not only am I going to go to high school, but the next step is I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to get out and I'm going to make a bunch of money. And that's where they think their life should be. And what I help the parents and the kiddos do is take a step back and really think about, number one, is college the right step? Based on what you want to do as far as a career, is college really the best next step for you? And it's kind of an interesting conversation, and it can be a little bit controversial, because, like I said, in these parents' minds, that was the plan.
Yes, you're really kind of by asking that question, you're breaking a paradigm in the family thought process, which you explained before. You got this newborn, and then they're going to go to preschool and kindergarten, and then up through school, and they're going to end up in college. And then all of a sudden you're asking, well, are you sure that's what you want to do? And before, it wasn't any option.
No, it wasn't. And, you're bringing up a good point. And that is, as parents, when we have teenagers, we have to go through kind of a critical mind shift. And Rhonda and I were talking before the show that, as parents, we go through a lot of mind shifts throughout the life of our kids. And one of them is they hand you this little bundle of joy, and now you realize, my gosh, what did I ask for? My life is no longer my own. So that mind shift is thrown at us, right? That ship has sailed. We've made that decision. They get to be 2 to 3. You figure out that your house is no longer your own. It's going to be dirty. You're just in the plastic minefield of toys, and you just have to get okay with that. Fast forward a little bit, and they're now 12 years old. They're doing 6th grade math, and they kind of look at you and ask for your help and realize that, gosh, mom and dad, they're not magic anymore. They don't know how to do this. And it's kind of
especially with Common Core.
Oh, yes.
I'm just saying.
We weren't taught that way. And, but it's kind of that first kink in the iron, right? That they see you as they might be human. But then, to me, the biggest mind shift comes when we hand over those keys to the car, and they now have some freedom, and they're now in that time of life where they're biologically built to push away from us. And as a parent, I think the most critical shift that we need to make is going from I'm managing this person's life to I'm now a consultant. And it's really hard. It's hard because all these other shifts that we've had to make, we didn't have a choice. They were happening, and we just had to ride along and accept them as they were coming. For this mind shift, I think it's a little bit different, because as a parent, you have to really sit back and say, I need to let them make mistakes. I need to let them fail. And I need to start, instead of telling them what to do, I need to start asking more questions and let them start to figure it out. And that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I know both of you have kids, so you've been through this.
We survived.
Yeah, we all do.
Well, I'm clinging on right now. So,
well, you're going through round 2.
Right. Yeah. It's been interesting, to get the girls kind of up and out and then see them kind of take on their own lives and do their own thing. And now we have our son, and, he's getting ready to enter into 4th grade, and he's not really excited about that. And so we're just trying to, navigate that whole thing. And, like you said, I mean, it's been really challenging this year. I mean, finishing up the end of the school year, homeschooling, which in some ways was great, but in other ways is like the most frustrating thing ever. But then to, kind of move into hopefully getting back to a little bit of normalcy as we enter a new school year. So it's going to be interesting. But wanted to ask you, Kristen, what, from a parental perspective, what are some of the biggest shifts in the mindset that parents need to make when they're getting ready to send their kids to college? Or maybe it's even maybe that it's not college. Maybe they're doing a trade school. Maybe they're, there's got to be a mind shift regardless of what decisions your children make at that point, because they're pretty much on their own. Like you said, you're consulting, but they have a variety of directions that they could choose from. Some good, some bad.
Right. And I'll tell you, the mind shift really is that idea of quit as a parent saying, here's my thought, here's what you should do. Because what I see is that, especially when we're talking about going to college, that these kids are looking for the easy button. And when I'm working with my clients and helping them figure out a career path, the parents' weight holds a lot. Their opinion holds a lot of weight, because the kiddo's going, you know what, this is really hard. I'm a little bit scared that now I have to start making these huge decisions. And it's a lot easier to say, well, you know what, mom and dad have been pretty good at this for the last 18 years. I'll just pick what they said. I probably should be a lawyer. That's a good idea. They're really smart. Easy button, push it and trot on to school. And then a lot of times what I see is they get to school and they go, oh, I don't want to be a lawyer. And so I think for parents, it's move to this idea of, nope, you have an opinion. This is your life now, and helping them guide them through that. And, for the kiddos, they're going to push back on this, but it's worth the effort. It's like, guys, let's have the conversations in your home. A lot of times what I see, Jason, is, especially when it comes to thinking about college and career path and majors, that we're spending a lot more time decorating the dorm room than we are talking about, why are you even there?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so how can a parent really help them pursue what they want to pursue? I know having those conversations are really important to not push our will for them, and to recognize that they're little independent, autonomous humans who we want to kill sometimes. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And you know what? Success for us, our vision of our kids being successful, I think is very different many times than our children's idea of what success looks like for them. And I think it's the passing that thought and encouraging our kids to really start to experiment with that and think about what truly makes them happy. And, you guys know, obviously, with being a strengths coach, I think that plays a big part in this whole decision as well. And I think anybody thinking about this and thinking about what our strengths are and using those more often, that's super important. But I think for the parents, it really, again, is helping to just ask the questions. Don't tell what I think, ask the questions, and ask what does success look like for you as a new young person? What truly is it? I'm going to make a lot of money. Is it, I just want to be happy, mom? Is it, I want to find a career I love? Or, I hear a lot of kids actually these days talk about work-life balance, which I find hugely interesting. That they have seen us, I think, and I was right there where I was traveling all the time for work. And I'm sure my kids kind of looked at that and went, I wish she would have been around a little bit more. And hopefully that is shaping their opinion of what they want.
Yeah, sure. I can see where that would be really helpful. So here's one thing. Do you have stats around how many kids now are actually finishing college? Or because you mentioned earlier that a certain percentage of them start and then end up in this situation. They
Yes.
go home, wasted money. Now they owe money. What
Yeah.
are the numbers around that?
So about 70% of students, high school graduates, decide that they want to go to some form of college. And the stats these days are that 40% drop out of college. The bulk of those 30% drop out after freshman year. And I have seen stats on why that is. Some of it is around finance. And we can obviously see why that's true because college is just so expensive these days. But I think the other part of it is that we're not asking these questions. We're not saying, why do you want to go? And why send our kids off to college, spend the $25,000 to $75,000 for that first year? If we would have had the conversation before they went, they might have opted to not go because what they truly want to do as far as a career doesn't necessarily require college.
Mm-hmm.
50% of the people or 50% of the jobs out there are people that own their own businesses. And you don't always need a college education for that.
Well, in fact, I think it's been studied that most entrepreneurs are college dropouts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they build these incredible businesses precisely because they left and did their own thing, but it takes a lot of talent, natural talent to be able to do that. And that's not the route for everybody, but again, 70% is big. Mm-hmm. When you think about that's a big assumption. A lot of parents who have taken their kids, from the cradle and planned on their college.
Absolutely. And then, the other big number that I said is 40% of kids that go to college don't finish.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big number for dropping out.
It is.
Or changing paths. I say dropping it, yeah, but it could be just a decision, like you said, to, maybe they just want to start their own business and do something completely different and realize that they don't need a college degree or the diploma to hang on the wall to be able to do that.
Right. And too, I always speak to the financial cost, but the other cost that we find is that there's this anxious feeling of, I don't know why I'm in college. And I'm here and I'm being asked to do all these things, but I don't have a clear vision of what my future looks like. And then for the kids that do, quote unquote, drop out, there are feelings that go along with that too, feelings of failure. And I didn't do the right thing. And how could I do that when I've got all these other people I'm looking at that are successful in college?
Right.
So there's a lot that's attached to it.
Yeah, and I mean, really, the tuition fees have just seemed to go up exponentially over the years. I mean, even from the time that I went to college, which has now been a little while. But I mean, I don't even know, how parents are able to do it now. I mean, and I don't know how many. Maybe a lot of them are smarter than I am and start that savings plan when their child is born. I don't know, but it seems like even then, once you get to the point where you're ready to send them off, I mean, that's a big thing to be able to, I mean, you're looking at, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, a year to send them to, one of the major universities.
Yeah, I can tell you. So personally, I know all the stats on this, but I can tell you personally, I put away $125,000 for each of my kids. And I had one that got a full scholarship, but I'm still spending roughly $70,000 on his education. And my other one, we're definitely going to get through the $125,000. And these are state schools. Wow. These are not private. Yeah. So a lot of your private schools, you're looking at $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's big money.
Yeah. And I really think, I don't know how you help your child kind of make some decisions before then, through their teenage years. I mean, I think it's good to be prepared for college and everything, but there does seem to be a shift, not only towards entrepreneurship, but I think there's a shift to what we would consider blue collar work or trade work. I mean, there, even Mike Rowe, who the TV show host, I mean, he started a program to try to get kids to get interested in those types of jobs, because we're seeing those types of jobs, not disappear, but the people that do them. And we need people to do construction work and do all of the things that make the world go around. So I think kind of, we get in that mindset where, we want our kid to be a doctor or a lawyer or something that, they're going to, make a great career, but, not thinking about perhaps the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to take to do that, when you can get out and do go to a trade school or learn a trade, work as an apprentice, and make that kind of money doing other things that are equally as beneficial to humanity, in order to keep civilized society moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think too, Jason, it's about, if that's going to make them happy,
yeah,
doing something, working with their hands or working with people, if that's going to make them happy, my gosh. And I told you early on that that's the one thing I always hear from parents is, I just want my kid to be happy. Yeah. And I think that what our job is, and definitely my job as a coach working with these high school and college students, it's let's broaden our perspective on what happy is. And it isn't necessarily, going to college and having that type of a job. And sometimes it is. And that's awesome, as long as they're following the path that's right for them.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that, kids are going to change their mind. And my son, who's 9, I mean, he says now, he's like, I want to be a mechanic. I want to work on, we're into cars, and he loves cars. And he's like, I want to be a mechanic and work on cars. I'm like, great. If that's what you want to do, then I fully support that. And I'm sure he'll change his mind along the way. But, in the meantime, let's learn some things. And he has a knack for that mechanical type things, and, has already started, taking toys apart and putting them back together. And, so if that's what he wants to do, great. If that turns into, he wants to be a mechanical engineer and go to college to get a degree for that, then I think that's great too, whichever way he wants to go. I want him to be happy, but I don't want us all to be in debt for the rest of our lives in order to achieve that happiness.
Right. And you brought up another really good point. And that is, when I work with students and we talk about a career, and I tell parents, I said, guys, we've been doing this wrong. When we're thinking about college, we think, I'm going to go to this college, then I'm going to do this major, and then sophomore, junior year, maybe even after college, they figure out what their career is going to be. And I was like, you know what? That's not the way of the world right now, quite honestly. And the kids do have an idea of what their career should be, what they're interested in. So I start with career, and we talk a lot about a career path. And I'll tell you what, it's always about, after the first hour that I talk with them, Jason, every time they lean in and they get real close to their camera and they'll go, Kristen, I have been thinking about something. 90% of the time, they have an idea of what a career path looks like for them. And it's amazing. And I always feel it when they're at that point, that they trust me and they feel like they can tell me. You can see it, just the change in their eyes. And as being an incredible coach, I look for that shine in their eyes, and it comes through, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's a really amazing thing. And for you to be able to kind of have that access and work with so many different students and parents and everything to be able to achieve that, it has to be extremely rewarding for you, especially I would think coming out of a corporate world previously and now being able to do this and really help families along the way. Just has to be fantastic for you.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And, you brought up another good point, and that is, like with your son, you said he's 9, right? His ideas may change. And I get parents asking me a lot about that too. They said, Kristen, gosh, they're 17. I'm 45. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Right.
And, but you brought up a really good point, and that is your son's interested in cars.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's interested in that, there's so much out there that he could do with cars, right? So if we can find that passion, that little spark of something that they love to do, and now we can start navigating through that piece of it, we're 90% there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's some advice that you have for parents that are right now, they're sitting at home, we're probably 3 weeks to a month out from kids going to college, at least in some places. What are some good pieces of advice they could take on right now for this transition period?
So that's a loaded question.
Well, I know.
Because I got to tell you, I've got one that's going into his last year of college. I've got one that's going into his third year of college, and they're also different. So to me, it's really about letting them know that and I'm going to go back to this manager versus consultant thought, this mind shift that we make. It's about asking them questions. It's having them answer for themselves, but you being there as a safety net. I'd say that's always the best bet, that they know you're there, but you're giving them enough rope that they can make their own decisions. And those decisions, hopefully they're going to come to you for guidance through that. And if we do this right, if we transition into a counselor, and let them know, or a consultant, and let them know that we're here and we can brainstorm with them, but they're not alone. We'll help them make those decisions. I'll tell you, they're going to be successful adults.
Yeah, that's great. Do you find in your experience that parents have a hard time of making that transition from manager to consultant, from making that shift, or we sometimes refer to them as helicopter parents or something like that, but do you see that quite a bit, or are people starting to understand that transition?
Parenting is hard. And a lot of times parents in the home have other kids that they're still in manager mode. So to switch for one child, and as each one progresses into that consultant mode, it is hard, because we were there picking them up when they fell, right? We were there making sure that they, looked good when they went on their first date. We were always there. And it's hard to shift out of that mindset of, well, let me just do it. It's just easier if I do it, So yeah. I would tell you, yes, I think for any parent, that's typically a hard time of life. But the people that, quite honestly, are hiring a coach realize that their kiddo does need somebody to talk to that maybe isn't their mom and dad, and that they kind of learn through that process as well, because I'm talking to the parents on the side and going, here's what's happening, and here's some ideas for you to keep pushing what and adding to what I'm doing. And a lot of that is about coaching to being a consultant. So they're open to that. I think parents are definitely open to, how do I do it? And, just getting help these days. I think it's a lot different than even 10 years ago.
Yeah, very good. Well, Kristen, I know you're doing some great things out there and really helping families and college students. How can people get in touch with you?
They can go to KristenClark.com. That's the easiest way. And I'm also on Facebook as Kristen Clark Coaching. And then the other big thing that's happening, Jason, is I've got a business partner and I that we're putting together a program. It's a online event, and it's called College Planning Untangled. We have an amazing keynote speaker, Jeannie Berlowski, who wrote the book Launch: How to Get Your Kids Through College Debt Free and Onto a Career They Love. And that's going to be happening October 4th through the 11th. And we'll be promoting that soon. We'll be letting people know about it. But I think that's going to be a really great place for parents to help them simplify this college planning process. And they'll be able to see me there too.
Great. And will they be able to find that information on your website?
Yes, it'll be on my website. We'll make sure to get it out on Facebook, all of those normal places that they can find that.
Okay. And for those that are going back and listening to the audio podcast, let's spell your name for them so they don't have any trouble.
Yes, it's Kristen, Kristin, Clark, CLARK.
All right. So KristenClark.com. You can get connected with Kristen if you are looking for help in navigating the lives of your soon-to-be college student or working with your family. She is a great resource. And it sounds like this program that you have coming up will be incredible. Please put the information for that, Kristen, into the Facebook comments after the show so everybody can link to that if they go to the Facebook page and watch that. And thanks so much for joining us today and being part of the Discover Coaching series.
Thank you. I always love talking with you and Rhonda.
All right. We will see you down in the green room, and have a great day, Kristen.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching Coach Talk TV. As you know, this is the home of first world problems and technical difficulties, and somewhere along the way, we lost Rhonda. However, it was great to have Kristen on here. Unfortunately, she was able to hold on tight there, and lots of great information. So I encourage you to visit her website, kristenclark.com, get connected with her. You can probably also find her on Facebook and those other social media outlets, and look for that event that she has coming up, because it's sure to be exciting and informative, and you won't want to miss it. You can find us at Coach Talk TV. Just go to coachtalk.tv. That'll take you straight to the Facebook page. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Coach Talk TV. You can click the subscribe button and ring the little bell to be notified when we have new programs coming out. We'll wind up our Discover Coaching series tomorrow afternoon, and looking forward to having another great guest. And we're going to talk a little more parenting activity on that particular show. So for Rhonda Boyle, I'm Jason Baffrey. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.